Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of 060. It's something that I'm not very familiar with, something I've never really played with. We've got an old F-truck, and it was built by young Brent over here.
Howdy.
Hopefully you guys remember Brent from the E46 drifting at the track.
That was easy.
This man knows how to steer a car, and apparently he knows how to build one. Brent, what have you got here? What is it?
Well, it's actually come back into my hands for a bit. It's an old 1968 F100, and we didn't take the natural road of keeping it pure stock. We went with the LS1, and then we decided to turbo it.
In fact, let's just pop the bonnet. Let's not beat around the bush. That is what makes it quite exciting to me. Now,
You ready?
I'm ready. I've seen it before. Wow. We'll get into the specs in a minute. But what is it? How did this build come about? Did you intend to make a really fast F-truck when you bought the car, or?
It's like any other build. It just spirals out of control once you get near completion. You start going, oh, how about I just do this? So it was going to be naturally aspirated to start with, and then that sounded boring.
Just to give the viewers a bit of background on yourself, you're big into drifting.
Yes.
Was this your first sort of street car that you've built?
I had street cars back in the day, but then it never ended well.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess it was the first registered street car that lasted more than a year.
All right, so he's willing to admit that he never planned to do this, but it's got some special things underneath, which I guess comes from Brent's involvement in the drift scene and Japanese chassis and wanting things to handle. But let's do a full from the top. What year is the truck?
1968.
1968, and what year did you get it?
Oh, I picked it up in like 2015 or 16.
So it was very old when you had it. Was it in this sort of condition to have the same tray on it?
No, so it actually came with no tray. It was just a rolling cab. The previous owner had done mechanical work at the shop and then decided to never return to pick up the car.
I see.
So and I was in friendship with the owner of the mechanical shop. So they're like, hey, you interested in this? I said, sure.
What was the first thing you did to it mod-wise?
Straight away, we looked into changing the suspension.
Yes.
That was before even working out what engine we wanted to do, and we somehow found that the Toyota Sora front crossmember and rear crossmember lines up almost perfectly with the chassis rails. So
underneath this car is actually a Toyota Sora.
yes, everything full drive. Yep, independent front and rear suspension, and it's got powered steering.
What shocks are in it?
The front ones are still the JZ30 ones, and then the rear, since selling it to Ian Dorney, he's changed it over to something new. I'm unsure what the compatible with.
So it's got a good set of shocks, and is it the Sora brakes?
Yes.
Sora brakes. All right. Now the cool thing, the engine. Now it is an LS. Hopefully everybody can see, but it has a rather large turbo. It's huge. Okay, let's start with the engine first. What have you done to the engine? Is it just a stock LS?
Standard LS. The only thing we ran into problems with was the valve springs, so
Yes.
we upgraded them, and that's the only thing that's been touched. Other than that, it's dead standard. It's actually a wrecker motor.
Oh,
Yeah, so straight out of a car,
Or
into
junkyard.
the graveyard, and then in my hands.
or junkyard for the American viewers.
Yeah.
So stock bottom end, stock heads, even a stock intake plenum by the looks of it. You've obviously got a fuel system on to support this little boy.
Yeah, the big boy.
And what computer's running it?
Nowadays, it's a Haltech 2500, I think.
Okay.
When I had it, it was just the standard ECU that we'd flash tuned. It wasn't live tuning. So the word is that it runs a lot better, makes more power easier.
Actually, we'll tell him. Brent hasn't driven this car in quite a long time, and he wanted to come and drive it in this guise before we do something rather cool to it in the next couple of weeks. Just back to the fuel system. What size injectors?
I think the ID1000s from memory, yes.
1000cc injectors.
Yeah.
And is it run on pump fuel?
E85.
Oh, it's E85?
E85, I believe it's got a flex meter at the moment, so it can be either or.
And what size turbo is it?
It's a Borg Warner S475.
Dude, it is
huge.
freaking huge.
I think it weighs like nearly 20 kilos or something stupid.
Okay, and it is a true twin scroll. You've got
Yep.
twin 45mm gates hanging off it.
Yeah, so it actually comes on relatively quick. It's around 3,000 RPM. It's full steam ahead.
And in regards to the interior, is there anything going on in here? I did have a quick look earlier. It all looks pretty...
Yeah, it's all relatively standard. We got some speed hut gauges here, and the hardest thing was trying to work out what speed. You're not going to plumb into a gearbox to pull your road speed, so we went GPS. That speed hut gauges are awesome. Like, everything's calibratable, and yeah, even like up to your fuel tank sender and whatnot.
And the last thing we've got to talk about is that is not a standard shifter.
No, it's just a normal ratchet shifter.
And what is the story with the gearbox? Because you had a few different gearboxes when you had this car.
Yes, okay, this is a touchy subject for my friends out there that are probably watching this. So there was a big argument about the 4L60 not being able to live up to this engine, and I doubted them. I got one built, and they were correct. It just didn't love the power.
So you had a built 4L60.
4L60, yeah.
Did you have two of those?
I got it rebuilt once after breaking it, and then it just still wasn't up to spec. So I got in cahoots with Benny from Elite Automatics, and we decided to build a Turbo 400.
Nice. So it is just a 3-speed at the moment, but a relatively indestructible box. And you were, I mean, this was supposed to be a street car, but you did do some track work with it, didn't you?
Yeah, it's been roll racing multiple times, and then we did some drift Matsuris in it.
You took it drifting.
Yeah.
That just seems so wrong. With a 3-speed automatic. All right, dude. I think before we go for a drive, I think the guys are going to want to hear what it sounds like. Would you mind starting it up?
Yeah, let's go for it. It's not too wild. We tried to keep it somewhat subtle for the road. Just a nice V8 rumble.
Oof. It's relatively quiet.
Yeah,
like it's a street car. It's not a race car. Dude, I like it. Would you mind just giving it a rev?
Yep.
I want to see if you can hear the spool. And we're just next to the exhaust. Oh, all right, guys. We're gonna get a tray plate on this, and we're gonna take it for a drive. All right, I'm kind of looking forward to this. When I arrived at the shop on the weekend, I did actually move it in, and I'm not a huge fan of F-Trucks.
Come on.
They're not as nice as modern BMWs to drive.
No.
But as I drove it in, and the turbo was making a little bit of noise, I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's different.
Did you use it much on the street when you had it?
Yeah, I was driving it to work a couple of days a week.
Actually dailied it.
Yeah. And then on weekends, if I felt like it, I'd drive to the sunny coast and hang out with my mates up there. Yeah, so it is quite enjoyable to drive. Ian's put a stereo in here, which is nice, and a few other bits and pieces just for comfort.
Very snazzy. For comfort. All right, let's head out on the road. Yeah, so this car is actually coming into the shop for a bit of a birthday, a bit of an update into the modern world, you could say. And you can probably guess what we're doing to it. In fact, if you can guess, put a comment below. Oh, it's a manual shifter.
Yeah, fully manualised.
Right. Huh. Hopefully the internet can hear us all right. I've never been so far away from someone. Oh.
It's actually a dream to drive. It just cruises so nicely with the stalling.
And I guess it's just dawned on me, the way it's moving on the road, it's not like an old truck with a live axle.
No.
There's the turbo. All right, guys, we're gonna head out into the wilderness and you'll hear it make some cool noises. I'll see you shortly. So, how do you find this with traction?
It can lose traction pretty easy.
We've got a lot of power. Holy shit, dude. The noises it made. It didn't go very fast.
No.
And it didn't really blow the tyres off. That was surprising. We're on a wet road right now and it's sort of hooked up. But the noise, it's not the right noise for an F-truck.
No. It gives you the heebie-jeebies.
All right. You got to do that again. You actually hit boost that time.
Yep.
Oh, that is naughty.
I was straight to third gear in the dry, and then it just almost went to limit. I didn't even feel it. Once you arc the tyres, it's game on.
How much boost is it running? Do you know?
I was running at about 12 to 14 pounds.
Okay.
I think it's still around the same. You don't need much more. It's at 12 pound, it was making 550 horsepower, and you could imagine the torque at that with a V8. So
yeah, I can't remember if we mentioned it earlier, but it's currently making 600 wheel horsepower, which is quite a lot. It's about 6 times more than this car come with when it was new. On the same note, this doesn't feel like an F-truck. It moves forwards I can't say like a Sora because it's, you know, it probably weighs about the same as a Sora. They're bloody heavy cars.
Yeah, definitely. The independent rear suspension does wonders for grip though, like compared to the solid rear axle that you'd be playing with normally.
Yeah, it feels, even when you gave it a bit of stick before. Oh, I'll give it some. Man, it seems wrong that a car this old moves forward so quickly.
It lines up
and stably as well. Stably, is that a word? And as stable as this. No, that is awesome. All right.
You just got to make sure that you are aware of what you're doing because you can, if those tyres decide to arc at the wrong time,
it'll go sideways.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we mentioned it, but it has also got a two-way diff, so it's got a proper diff. So if you do break loose, both wheels are spinning. All right, go on, one little bit more of a roll on. You know what I do like? It gives you that feeling of power and speed, but we're not going that fast.
No.
The thing is, it's all metal. You can hear, you run over a pebble and you can hear it. It connects you to the engine, that's for sure. All right, we better head back to the shop and tell everyone what we're doing with it. Well, we're back home.
That was good fun.
Dude, thank you for
glad I got to go for a drive in it again.
I will take it out before the modifications start, but it was nice to be driven by the man.
Do yourself a favour and go for a drive by yourself.
Yeah? Mate,
yeah,
these 55-year-old doors don't work.
You got a big boy engine, you can't expect everything else to work.
Holy shit. Ah, we're good, we're good. Dude, you built something a bit rare. And I guess this stuff's pretty common in the States, like a big turbo V8 in an old F-truck, but it's really rare to have a car like this in Australia, like a powerful, old, big farm truck.
Yeah, it's you don't see it often. I remember when you used to go to the track with it, people would just be coming over. And then, all the questions start about suspension, engine, you know. Then there's the genuine people that should have been a Ford motor.
Yes, that's true.
We went Holden this time.
All right, guys, we're going to end it off there. This is a bit of an intro into what this car is, the man that built it, and I hope you're going to hang around for when we change it a bit, because it is here for an 8-speed conversion. So we are putting an 8 HP in it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, it's an LS. We've got everything here to do it, so hopefully we'll have it done over the next 2 weeks. We'll see how much better it drives on the street. It's going to be better on fuel. It will be, yeah. We were mentioning earlier that the cruising on the highway with the Turbo 400, it's like 3,800 RPM and it's just revving its tits out. So the final drive's not great in the Turbo 400, whereas the 8-speed's going to be. I guess it works okay for around town. The converter's not too lazy. You can hear the converter slipping like the whole way down the street, but it's not too bad. But on the highway, this thing is revving its backside off to do 100 k's
and sucking a lot of fuel.
I bet it is.
And then an E85 on top, so like 30% more than usual.
Oh, we'll see if we can sort that out a little bit. Make it a bit more streetable, but we still want it to do what you built it for. It's still got to be fun.
Yes.
So we had to beat on it and run it through the gears nicely. So hopefully Brent will be back to see the finished product and you guys will be along for the trip. All right, guys, thank you all for watching.
Cheers.
Catch you on the next one. Thank you, Brent.